Yeah. Okay, so I'm Emily Midorikawa. I'm a writer, obviously, I guess. I write fiction, a bit of non-fiction. I also run a website about literary friendships with my friend Emma Claire Sweeney, who couldn't be here tonight. I'm going to do this in the form of a kind of a spidergram, I guess. Okay, so why do I write? Well, I suppose one of the reasons why I write is because I like to communicate, so I'll just write that up there. And the thing that attracts me to communicating on paper, as opposed to standing here and talking to you now, is that I know I'm probably going to be babbling through the session, whereas on paper you have the time to slow down and you get the chance to say what you really mean. So I think that's one of the reasons that I'm attracted to writing. I also like to create things, and I guess that probably goes without saying again. I shall write that on there. I like to create. The thing with creating things, I like to create all sorts of things. I like to cook, I like to make crafty things out of materials, out of bits of paper. The thing is though, most of the things that I make with craft or make in the kitchen are not that great, they're just not very good. Whereas I think with the writing that I do, at least the end result tends to turn out a lot better. So I think that's another reason why I'm encouraged to write as opposed to make cakes that often have missing ingredients and that sort of thing. Another reason that I write is because I like to make friends, and maybe this is a slightly less obvious reason for writing. But when I really started to sit down and think about this at home, I realised that friendship was a big part of my motivation for writing. I actually started writing at one of the loneliest periods during my life. I was living in Japan at the time. I'd gone out to teach English there, and I flew out with a group of other English teachers, had a sort of orientation conference, and then I was shipped out to this little town, kind of in the middle of nowhere. My supervisor dropped me off at the house and said, okay, it was like the middle of August, and he said, school starts on the 1st of September, be there at 8 o'clock, goodbye. And I was kind of on my own in this little house, no TV, no computer, no curtains even. I really had very little in this house. And so just left on my own. And one of the first things I did to try and combat these feelings of writing was just go and buy a notebook, get a pen, and start recording some of the feelings I was having. And very soon the page that I was working with came to be like a kind of friend. And so that's one side of it, I think you're never alone when you've got the page and all the characters that live within the page that you're creating. But also through writing, I've met so many other great friends who share an interest in writing, so I suppose there's that aspect to it as well. Why else do I write? I like to perform, and I think writing can be seen as a kind of a performance on the page. My first ambition in life when I was a kid was actually to be a professional ballerina. I was lacking two key elements to that though. I didn't really have the right kind of figure, and I also didn't really have the right level of talent, so that was never really going to happen for me. But with writing I feel I can do slightly better performing on the page, so that's another reason why I like to write. And then I guess just finally, actually there's two more things. So second, finally, I like to read. I mean, I guess that goes without saying, but if you love to do something, if you love to read, it almost seems natural that an extension of that would be at least to have a go at writing, to see if you could do it. And then finally, very finally, I guess I like structure, and I like stories. I find that when I'm not writing, the structure disappears from my life, and for a day or two that's great. But I think when you're writing, when you're working on a long project, something like a book or a longer piece of writing, even if you feel the only thing that you're heading towards in terms of the structure is just a massive tangled disaster of a plot, you are still heading somewhere, and I think that's something that I like to cling to. So thank you very much.